Today on Locked On Rockies, the Rockies do two surprising things: the first trade of the offseason and a hire from outside the organization. As crazy as that is, it's a pretty big deal. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today. As I'm going to re-get my throat and my talking and my voice back. Welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast. This is your daily Colorado Rockies podcast where you can find your team every day on the Locked On Podcast Network that we are proud to be part of. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, well, you are in the right spot because this is what we do each and every day. We talk about the Colorado Rockies right here on your favorite streaming service or on Locked On Rockies on YouTube. You can join us in the live chat, ask your questions, have them answered live right here on the podcast. We get to talk to each other as Rockies fans and figure out this wonderful team together. The Rockies are first to make a move. They hire from outside the organization. They do two surprising things that, I mean, it's not like it might seem like earth-shattering kind of to Rockies fans, but two moves that you sit here and you say, okay, interesting. Before we dive into those moves, thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free and streaming on your favorite streaming service. Make sure you follow along. And again, I'm Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire, your host to your daily Colorado Rockies talk. Been following this team my entire life and bringing you your daily Rockies talk here for a little bit over a couple seasons now. And so let's start off with the coaching changes the Rockies made. Obviously, we heard about the Rockies parting ways with their hitting coach, as well as longtime third base coach Stu Cole. Dave Magnan was let go. The new replacements were here, and I got some interesting feedback. It was just some kind of quick stuff in the Locked On group chat that we have, but the Rockies are able to bring over Hensley Mullins. I hope I'm getting that right. I'm going to have to get that, but nicknamed Bam Bam, and he is going to be going to be tasked with turning around this Rockies offense. And in the group text, when I was messaging about the Rockies making the move, because I said the Rockies got the Yankees hitting coach Judge to the Rockies confirmed. I mean, if you're looking for tiny threads, if you want to go conspiracy on bringing Aaron Judge to the Colorado Rockies, bringing the hitting coach in, surely is not a bad thing. I mean, if you're on Judge to the Rockies watch, that the move definitely makes you raise your eyebrows there. But in the Locked On group chat, Stace Gotsulias there, host of Locked On Yankees, responded with "No" in all capital letters. Ben Kaspic of Locked On Giants says he was with San Francisco for a long time as well. Good dude. Stace adds, I wanted him to be hired instead of Boone before 2018. And then Sully, their host of the Locked On MLB podcast, says he's been screaming for him to be a manager for 5 seasons. So just from your Locked On host perspective there's a lot of admiration for this new Rockies hitting coach. And then when the results were there, what did the Yankees do? A heck of a ton last year. Hit home runs and score and be one of the better offenses in the league. What do the Rockies need to do? Exactly that. They need to be better at that. And on top of this, he wasn't from within the organization. I mean, I would have been there were some moves within the organization that you kind of were ramping yourself up for and kind of thinking it was going to happen, especially there in Albuquerque. But this is refreshing, knowing that the Rockies, instead of deciding to just look at what they had, they went out and got a good name, a well-deserved and one with a reputation. They went out and got a coach that has that it was with a team that was having success with a similar type of situation. Mind you, Yankee Stadium and Coors Field are different, but they're stadiums with certain things that you can use and work to your advantage. And I have to wonder if that's something that Coach Hensley is going to do for the Colorado Rockies. Getting the most out of your players, doing what and understanding the environment and the ballpark that you're in. If we're going to talk Coors so much, if we're going to focus on Coors, if Coors is always going to be part of the equation, like we always say, then embrace it. And maybe this is part of that philosophy, because Yankee Stadium is kind of a dink-dunk ballpark as well and has plenty of things to be criticized for in terms of its dimensions. Let's head over here to Purple Row. Skylar Timmons is writing here. The Rockies have named 55-year-old Hensley Bam Bam Mullins as their new hitting coach. He replaces Dave Magnan after spending the 2022 season as an assistant hitting coach for the New York Yankees. The Curacao native has spent nearly 2 decades as a coach, getting his start in the Baltimore Orioles minor league system in 2003. By 2010, he would crack the big leagues as the hitting coach for the San Francisco Giants, where he would help the team win 3 World Series titles in his first 5 years. An important note there. Mullins played 17 years professionally, including parts of 7 seasons in the big league, and has also played for the Netherlands in the 2000 Olympics, and has also served as a coach and manager for the Netherlands in the World Baseball Classic. He'll be tasked with helping the Rockies improve all aspects of their offensive strategy, particularly in the power department, after the Rockies posted one of the worst offensive seasons in team history in 2022. Key notes there. The success, the path of success is there. Multiple World Series titles. And you all saw those Giants teams. Of course, you all saw those Giants team. Bringing in that pedigree, bringing in someone of that talent is exactly the type of moves you need to be thinking of when you're addressing coaching, front office, and things of this nature. Hopefully, this move is going to open up the door for more people from outside of the organization to come in and bring their expertise and bring their knowledge to the game, because we are asking this new hitting coach to do a lot. Especially if the Rockies don't change their lineup at all, they are going to have to develop and work with this new hitting coach to completely overhaul their offense, especially if they're going to turn to the same exact players next year. If the Rockies don't add anybody other than pitching, for example, say the Rockies, like we talked about, stick with the position players that they have and the ones that they have under contract already and the money already spent and their prospects, and instead try to go spend the money out on pitching, they're going to have to develop a new they're going to have to get on base more. They're going to have to strike out less. They're going to have to implement base stealing. They're going to have to implement the hit and run. They're going to have to do all these things because they're going to have to keep up with these other red hot offenses. This Rockies team is going to need to buy into a new hitting philosophy, and hopefully this new coach can come in and bring it as well, especially when you have a multi-World Series. If you've been a part of multiple World Series winnings teams, you're part of a Yankees team that hit a whole heck of a lot of home runs, and you've been in the league for as long as possible. I trust my Locked On hosts as well. I know that it wasn't much insight in there, but when you know the hitting coach, and when the nickname is said, and when that's the immediate reaction and the follow-up from the hosts that have had that coach in your system, that is a move to be encouraged and excited by. This could be something that will really help the Rockies. You know what else will help the Rockies is beefing up this lineup as well. I don't think one hitting coach coming in is going to necessarily completely change all of the things, all of the options, all of the opportunities for the Rockies offense. But it's certainly a nice start, and it's a moment where you can sit there and at least say, hey, they did something different. They went outside the organization and they went after it. And again, went after a guy that has a pedigree of success. It's not the owner's son. It's not the guy that's been with just the Rockies for 25 and a half years. It's a guy that's gone around the league. It's a guy that's gone on the international stage as well. I know the Netherlands, but it's still the World Baseball Classic. He has gone all over, all levels. and he's still there and he's still being sought after at the major league level. That's a good sign, and it's a good move for the Colorado Rockies. A good move if you are looking to get in on all the betting action is to head to betonline.net. Well, baseball might be over, but that doesn't mean you want to miss out on any of the action going on in the world of sports. And that includes hockey, basketball, football, fights, all sorts of stuff. Whatever you can think of, BetOnline is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball to soccer, esports. That's right. If you want to get on a little esports gambling, why not? You can check it out at betonline.net. And hey, if you want to check out some more podcasts about sports, maybe some non-baseball centered ones, BetOnline's got you covered. You can find those at betonline.well. They're the fastest and easiest way to get your betting in. Head to the website today. That's betonline.net. You can also use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline. That's betonline.net, where the game starts. What's your reaction, folks? How are you feeling about the Rockies making these moves, changing things up? We're going to get to the trade as well, but I want to dive into the other part of the Rockies coaching staff that was finalized today as well. Third base coach. This is going to be a change for the Rockies. It'll be interesting to not have Stu Cole out there calling, sending runners, being a part of this organization. And I hope that he does find another opportunity at the major league level. But the Rockies have promoted. This is from within the organization here. This one is a from AAA up to the minors, but it seems like they were planning. This was probably the move all along, especially when the Rockies were trying to make the shift there with Stu Cole. Warren Schaefer has been promoted to replace Stu Cole as the third base coach. Of course, we are reading from Purple Rose. Rockies named new hitting and third base coaches for 2023 season by Skylar Timmons and Evan Lang on Purple Row. Warren Schaefer has been promoted to replace Stu Cole as the third base coach for the Rockies, while also taking over duties as the infield coach. Schaefer has spent the last 10 seasons in the Rockies minor league system, mostly as a manager. Most recently, he served as a manager of the AAA Albuquerque Isotopes from 2020 to 2022. Currently, Schaefer is also serving as the manager for the Salt River Rafters of the Arizona Fall League. Originally drafted by the Rockies in 2007, Schaefer played 6 seasons in the minor leagues before transitioning to coaching, starting as the hitting coach for the Single-A Asheville Tourists in 2013. He has since served as the manager for the Asheville Tourists and Hartford Yard Goats before his time in Albuquerque, where he also served as the third base coach and infield instructor in conjunction with his managerial duties. He replaces Stu Cole, who spent 10 years as third base coach, highlighted by the 11 Gold Gloves earned by former Rockies Nolan Arenado and DJ LeMahieu. I mean, another piece of that Rockies time frame, of that Rockies decade. I mean, that 10 years with Stu Cole also goes into some of your other favorites there. But hopefully, I mean, the infield is going to be the one thing that it would be a focus. I don't know how much coaching you need to do for a lot of these players at this point. I'm often interested by the role of the coach, especially something like an infield coach with the infield. But we certainly he's got big shoes to fill. I mean, not only that, Stu Cole just racked up another Gold Glove under his instruction there before leaving, with Brendan Rodgers at second base, and Ryan McMahon being a finalist now 2 years in a row. So he is stepping into a position that has a legacy of success on the defensive side, and the Rockies could be a little bit cleaner on the defensive side. Shocking, I know. I mean, but when Rockies fans know that this team can be better defensively, we know what Ryan McMahon is capable of, even with the national recognition this year. So there you go. The Rockies coaching staff is finalized, and coaching, managers, all that stuff. It comes down to more the performance of the players and at this level, what their role is. I think a lot more people are going to be interested to see what this new hitting coach can bring, though. I think this is an interesting and really good move for the Rockies. I mean, this is, again, something that the team is making changes, and not waiting to make changes either. The team went out, went out there, and we can dive into it here in just a moment. The team immediately was active in the offseason. Small moves, yes, but moves nonetheless. And this could be, oh, wait, the Rockies are, they made their moves. They did it. They're blah, blah, boom. They're just done. They just want to get it out of the way, can focus on this offseason with the assets and the pieces and the things that they have. Or it could be a sign of further aggression for the Rockies, an increased pace in the offseason, maybe really feeling like they missed out on the time in between with lockouts and things like that on getting some stuff done or going after it and then highlighted by the needs of this year. I mean, it does make you raise your eyebrows and wonder. I think I've done the raise your eyebrows twice now in the same pod. I lean on my things a little too much, but again, action from the Rockies on the 7th of November, including trades and bringing in someone into a significant position within their managerial structure for the Rockies from outside of the organization. An encouraging sign for sure, but a really, really, really tall task ahead there for the coaching staff of this Rockies team. And really for the front office as they head into free agency as well. Let's talk about the trade the Rockies made, moving on from, honestly, a fan, I can say in some ways a fan favorite and someone who has had a really solid couple of storylines, but things didn't work out for him in Colorado as much as I'm sure both he and the Rockies were hoping for. We'll get to that next. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast. You can find us free and streaming on your favorite streaming service. You can also find us on YouTube, where you can join in on the live chat. If you see us recording, you can pop in, you can ask your questions, and we answer them live right here on the show. You can also follow us on Twitter to stay up to date with the pod as well. The Rockies were the only team this year to not make a move at the deadline for trades. They did not move on from pieces that we thought they could potentially move on from, and they rode the season out with their roster. Now, with the offseason officially underway, the Rockies wasted no time and made the first trade of the offseason. And it's a move we talked about most likely happening, a move that makes sense for the Rockies. Sam Hilliard has been traded to the Atlanta Braves. And we read more here from the Colorado Springs Gazette. Danielle Allen Tuck writes, Colorado Rockies trade outfielder Sam Hilliard to Braves for minor league pitcher. The Colorado Rockies traded Sam Hilliard to the Braves for right-handed pitcher Dylan Spain on Sunday, clearing a spot on their 40-man roster and adding pitching depth to their minor league system. Spain, 24, was drafted in the 10th round in 2021 and spent all the 2022 season at the Braves' High A affiliate. He played in 36 games last season, starting 7, and ended the year with a 5.30 ERA. The Rockies always hoped that with Hilliard's size and offensive abilities, he would develop into the consistent power-hitting center fielder they've been seeking, but Hilliard, drafted in 2015 and debuted in 2019, never quite found his stride as a major leaguer. He spent half the 2022 season in AAA, playing just 70 games for the Rockies and hitting a 184 with only 2 home runs in that span. With free agency set to begin on Thursday, the Rockies now have 34 players on their 40-man roster. That number will go up to 37 when players are moved back from the 60-day injured list. So nice little brief there from Danielle. And again, this makes sense. And this is the type of stuff you can do. Take a chance on a prospect, a pitching prospect especially. Get a flyer, and Sam Hilliard gets an opportunity to go to a successful organization in a good spot, hopefully able to beef up and go after it. I mean, he's out of options at the minor league level, so the Braves clearly see enough in what Sam Hilliard can bring to their organization to give him a chance and to give him an opportunity. And Sam Hilliard has demonstrated that, while things on the field might have been a struggle, he is a strong presence off the field. And his work that him and his family have done, especially for ALS and the story with his father and everything that they've done, is really, really awesome. And he is one of those players. It's a reminder of the fact that it's hard in sports. And he's obviously still makes a good chunk of change, but it's not like they're the biggest names ever. There's a lot of guys that have to go through the ringer, that have to go through the grind, and aren't as lavishly compensated other than the fact of the access to the major league facilities. I mean, that's kind of the big thing. And a major league contract, sure, in that experience, but it's still a grind. And, Sam Hilliard's been going through the grind since being drafted, since being called up, down. That's tough. But he's one of the good guys out there, and he's been doing a lot of cool work for the Rockies as well. So really excited for the Rockies to add something into their minor league pitching depth. That's great. That's exactly what you would want to be getting out of a trade for someone like Hilliard. I think that's the exact type of move you'd want to make and the exact type of return you can expect for a player like Hilliard. And a high A, 24, couple, maybe, one more year, maybe in the minors, there's a couple or two, and you still could get some potential there. Who knows what can happen? Minor league players can develop and can change right before your eyes. We've seen a lot of rapid development, and hopefully maybe that'll start happening for some Rockies pitching prospects as well. But nothing but the best to Sam Hilliard as well. But that is going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for tuning in today and making us your first listen of the day. We are free and streaming on your favorite streaming service. You just need to search Locked On Rockies, and that'll take you where you need to go. We thank you for making us your first listen of the day. Now that you've made us your first listen of the day, why don't you go check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, where you can find all things in the world of Major League Sports. You can hear from basketball, hockey, all the good stuff going on. And if you want to stay up to date with all things Colorado sports, you can find all your favorite content at the Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, and Locked On Nuggets podcasts. I'm Paul Holden. You can find me at Paul Holden 33. And until next time, I'm saying so long from the Locked On Rockies.